Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and we hope all of you out there had a wonderful holiday season and that Santa was extra generous with his superpowers deliveries. And speaking of superpowers, as we head into the new year and reflect on waves 6 through 9 that McFarlane Toys released in 2024, we have realized that some of our favorite superpowers figures ever were put out in these 4 waves. And while we're still plagued by a lack of female characters and an abundance of Batman and Superman repaints, we cannot deny that McFarlane dropped some banger superpower figures this year. And we're counting down our top 10 superpowers toys from the 4 waves released in 2024 today. And of course, we want to hear from you, so drop your own top 10s into the comments down below. So Chris and I each have our own personal top 10 lists, and the way we rank these is by how the figures were released. So if it was released in a multi-pack, it was ranked as one entry rather than as separate entries for each of the figures. Same thing with the vehicles, and yes, we do have vehicles on the list as well. So let's go ahead and jump right in without further ado. We'll start with our honorable and dishonorable mentions. Chris, kick us off, my friend.
Okay, sounds good. I'm gonna start off with my dishonorable right off the bat. And for me, that's gonna be the Batman of Zurin. I mean, come on, I like Batman a whole lot, but this one was just something I just didn't really like. You know, maybe it's the colors, I don't know, but you know, to me, it's just it's too much of it. So, not a big fan of this one. Obviously, is my least favorite of the entire collection. That was almost on my dishonorable mention as well. I felt the same way. I know he's a character a lot of people really do like. For whatever reason, it didn't work for me in the superpowers line. I think it was just the mold that they used, clearly not our favorite Batman mold, and just for whatever reason, those crazy colors didn't quite work for us. So with my honorable mentions, I actually have 2 Supermen in there, which is a shock, big Superman fan, just like you as well.
Yeah, got my socks.
Got your socks.
With my cape on the socks, just
got
like
a cape
you got
on here.
Got a cape on. Yeah, we're weird.
Hey, this is just like when we were kids. We had jammies, you know.
Sure did.
Almost the same thing with the cape. So I had to represent for superpowers and installed it.
Someone out there is watching right now wearing the same thing, so it's all good. It's all good.
First honorable mention is the classic Superman. This is the latest Superman that just came out.
In Wave 9.
In Wave 9, yeah. I did like the change in the costume coloring, but for me, it's that smile, man.
Just couldn't get around it,
I couldn't get around the smile, and then just a little bit, like I said, on the logo. You can even see on my shirt here, you know, as I mentioned before, there's just too much yellow in it for me. I wanted a bit more red, so I'm a little harder on that one. So, but I still loved it, but just not good enough to be in that top 10.
We got to agree, at least the body sculpt change was fantastic.
That was best. That was the best thing. And you know, that's one of the reasons why it should be higher on that list. But there's just so many good characters. You know, my next one is going to be the Fleischer Superman.
Okay.
So I really like the Fleischer Superman, but I would have rather seen it as the Kingdom Come Superman. That's kind of like the only reason that he's not higher up on my list again. He said I like the Fleischer one. I love the Superman just again in general, but Fleischer was pretty good. It would have been really cool if they actually made it look a little bit more like they did actually Fleischer. If they had a different body mold, maybe the face or something.
If they'd have used the Wave 9 body mold, like just brought it out a wave earlier.
Yeah.
But with that kind of squinty-eyed, older style face and definitely a shorter cape.
Yeah, that
100%
would have been way
100%.
higher up on
That's
my
why
list.
we got our Cape Master cape on that. And you'll see it in the B-roll. It's wearing the Cape Master cape, just makes it look so much better as even in that style.
Exactly. So that's what I said. There's just some little tweaks on both of those characters that would have easily put those in my top 10, but just because that honorable mentions.
Understand.
My last honorable mention is going to be the Black Manta.
Okay.
Now, I really like this one as well. It was fantastic, but there's just too many that they made out there, again, that are just, in my opinion, better than these. I really like this one. He looks great. He was one of the harder to find ones in the early release.
The Super Friend style release.
The Super Friend style one. This one, he looks very cool, but at the same time, he's a little plain at the same time, if that makes sense. So it looks cool, little plain. That's why my other ones are coming out are going to be a little bit more detailed. Which
but a much needed Legion of Doom member.
Much needed, yes, 100%.
All right. Well, now I will jump into my honorable and dishonorable, and you started with your dishonorable, so I will do the same. And my dishonorable mention is the SDCC 3-pack, which were the black and white figures of Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman. Just did not work for me. Just just could not get my head around that one. I think the packaging is the best part. Very cool box art, but the figures themselves, with the Batman and Superman molds that are not our favorites.
Right.
And I think the Wonder Woman is the best figure out of that.
Agreed.
But like we said, just didn't work for me. I know some people out there really liked it. Wasn't for me. Had we not been doing a YouTube show and reviewing it, probably wouldn't have gotten it. So definitely a dishonorable mention for me this year.
Yeah, I agree. It's pretty much one of those. I was going between Batman and that pack. Honestly, like we said in our previous video, I think had they chose the kind of paint scheme that they had on the box for the logos, that would have lifted it up. Not into a top level. Not even an honorable mention.
Probably not. Probably not. But we wouldn't have hated it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then into my honorable mentions, my first one, and this was on my top 10 multiple times before I finally ended up having to drop it down. It's going to be Sinestro. And because it's now an honorable mention, I don't have to make a decision between the Super Friends Sinestro or the Yellow Lantern style Sinestro. I'm not going to make a distinction. Both the Sinestros are awesome, but they're not quite on my top 10. Again, some more much needed Legion of Doom members though. So
both of them are honorable mentions?
Both of them are honorable mentions. But I'm lumping them together because it's the same character.
It'll work.
And the next honorable mention is going to be Kilowog, big old Kilowog up there. I love that big body mold. I think he probably would, and he was in my top 10 a couple of times, but I ended up dropping him off. Had he come with some kind of an accessory like some of the other lanterns, a lantern or a construct or something like that, that probably would have pushed him over the top and definitely put him into my top 10. But because he was just kind of by himself without an accessory, and a lantern should come with an accessory, he's going to make it into an honorable mention. Awesome figure, and I definitely hope they use that body style and that big buck on some new figures going forward. And going into my final honorable mentions, and again, I cheat. I actually lump 3 different figures together in honorable mentions, and the reason I did so is because I tried to keep my top 10 as repaint-free as possible. I think there were some great repaints done this year, and 3 of those are Justice Lord Superman, the black and gray Batman from Wave 9, the most recent Batman, been wanting a black and gray for a long time, and the Amazon exclusive Batman set that came with the Whirly Bat and the Bat Wing. I thought all of those were fantastic, but they are largely repaints and wanted to keep my top 10 as free as possible from repaints. So they just missed out on my top 10.
Well, most of these are, like I said, repaints. I like those a lot.
I love them.
I can see why they're definitely your honorable mentions.
Yeah,
so, awesome pick, yeah.
They were great, but just a little too repainty for me for my top 10.
Yeah, so I wonder if anybody that we've listed off is already in somebody else's top 10s.
I'm sure. I'm sure probably more than one. Probably
they're already arguing with us in the comments.
Already, definitely. Like we said, we want to hear from you guys. Drop those comments down below. And now we can get into our official top 10s. Chris, go ahead and kick us off with those as well.
Yeah. So number 10 for me, this one would have been a lot higher if we could have rated them individually. So it's one of the packs. JSA 3-pack.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I love the 3 characters, but the star of that one for me was Green Lantern, and like he probably would have been one of my top 1 or 2. I like the other 2, but just not as much to kind of keep this whole thing like that higher level in there. They all look fantastic. You should definitely, as we mentioned in our previous review, but yeah, number 10 for me is going to be that JSA 3-pack. Very well done, great colors. Yeah, love it a bunch.
It really stood out a lot, and those are probably some of the best capes that from like the entire line so far.
Yeah. Those capes were done really well, and just kind of the basic colors on them. To me, this kind of just screamed kind of like superpowers, kind of how they're most meant to be. But that's the best part about them being Silver Age like that, just those colors and everything.
Actually, even Golden Age, man. Going back to like Alan Scott and stuff. Yeah. And they nailed it. Yeah, it was a great pack. We might hear more about that later.
All right, good to hear.
My number 10, and this was one that jumped into my top 10 during B-roll recording. It's from Wave 8. This is Metamorpho. Man, just the more, it was not a character I would have even thought I wanted in the Superpowers line, but it was done so surprisingly well, and I think I said that in our review too, that it really surprised me. Rated him so good. I really love that Metamorpho. He looks fantastic. They got that Element Man style down really, really well. The card art was weird with the black pants, but other than the figure itself, very, very cool. Definitely my number 10 spot.
All right, so going into my number 9 there, it's going to be another repaint. Hey, Batman made it into a dishonorable mention. Well, he's back into my top list. That's going to be the gold Batman.
Oh, very nice.
I love this gold Batman. There was one that was very similar to this.
Tech Shield.
Yeah, Tech Shield Batman. And he was really cool. And this one, I just really like the contrast with the gold and the black. That's really done.
Great.
It looked great. And when I'm just thinking back on like the overall Batman figures that came out, he was just really one of my top favorites that came out. So
solid choice. Solid choice. Yeah, I like a lot of those gold figures, and that Batman probably, of the gold ones so far, is my favorite. It could be Wonder Woman, the new Wonder Woman from Wave 9. She looked just surprisingly good as a gold figure, but that Batman is a very, very good gold figure. So I do not hate that choice at all.
Yes,
solid choice. Solid choice. All right, and going into my number 9, I'm picking a Wave 7 choice, which probably not surprising. There's going to be a lot of Wave 7 on these lists. That has been our favorite overall wave so far. I'm going with Brainiac, just the standard Brainiac release. Very, very Super Friends style, very Silver Age classic style Brainiac. But those colors were just like that pink shirt and the green skin. I mean, it was just such a classic Brainiac. Love him to death. Just is so Super Friends that I had to add him into my top 10.
Oh yeah, you said classic Silver Age that they had with them, but what I liked is they also incorporated that same Brainiac in the comics now is future Brainiacs. So.
Yeah.
So that goes us into number 8 for number me. It's going to be, in my opinion, the best of the Green Lanterns, and it's going to be Hal Jordan.
Very nice.
I love this one. It's just like the Hal Jordan Green Lantern when we were kids. Not really a whole lot I can really say about him because he's just an awesome Green Lantern. I did come with the Lantern, which was one of the downsides you had on Kilowog there, but I think they did a really great job making it look exactly, or not exactly like, but very close to.
Really close.
Yeah, the Silver Age Hal Jordan look, just one of my favorites. He's one of my all-time favorite comic heroes as well, so definitely wanted to have him on my list just because if I can get him, I don't have him, but if I can get him, he'll be one that I'm happy to display with the rest of them that we have here.
Yeah, we got him right up here, looking great. Don't have a lot to add because my number 8 is also Hal Jordan. I also really like him a lot. I mean, he matched that original superpowers, the Kenner superpowers, so well, with a few little updates, of course, and slightly different color green. I know some people had a kind of a problem with that more olivey green. Not a big deal to me. Love that he came with his lantern. I think the only thing that may have pushed him a little bit higher, because again, one of my favorite figures, is if they had maybe done a little bit more to change him up from the original Kenner. And I love that they were matching him, but we kind of already had that with the Kenner.
Yeah.
I like something's gray temples, do something a little bit different with that Hal Jordan, I think would have pushed him up just a little bit higher because of course it's hard to top that original Kenner Hal Jordan. So, but they did a great job. They did a great job trying, and I love it just as much as you do. It is my number 8 figure as well.
But that's going to take me into my number 7. It's another Green Lantern, actually standing right next to him. It's going to be Kilowog.
All right, in my honorable mentions.
Yeah,
all
your
right.
honorable mention. That's why I didn't say anything over your honorable mentions because, hey, he's right here in my top. Yeah, just like you, man. This is a great figure. I like how big he is compared to just the rest of them. So it's really great representation of how he was in the comics, even any of the cartoons that they have out now with them. But they represented him so well with the superpower look.
They did.
That was just something that at the beginning of this year, I was kind of concerned with a lot of characters that they could come out with was how are they going to make these characters that have so much detail in the comics down to a superpower one. They nailed it with Kilowog. I think it could have been better along the lines with having some type of a lantern, like you were saying, or some type of a
construct.
You know, one of the accessories that you recently got has a really great minigun, which would be great to have with them.
Yeah, nerd candy toys, and a lot of the shots that we're going to be showing in this video do have some of those nerd candy toys accessories added with them. Guys, if you haven't seen our video where we did our subscriber Cyber Spotlight. Go check that out. Some of those accessories are just so good, and we talk a lot about those in that video, so go check that out, and definitely give Nerd Candy Toys on Etsy a look when you have a chance, because they'll certainly enhance all of your Superpowers figures.
Yep, 100%, and again, that's why he's my number 7.
And that takes me into another solid figure, my number 7. He's behind you. It is Booster Gold from Wave 8. Such a great figure. Man, those colors pop so well. Just that blue and that yellow, they always look so good together, those two colors. And he looks just spot on to Booster Gold from the comics. What would have pushed him higher in my list and probably would have put him closer to the top would have been Skeets.
Yeah, here we go.
Gotta include Skeets with him. And thanks to Nerd Candy Toys, can't mention him enough, we got a Skeets. But that's not how McFarlane released him, so I couldn't push him up higher on the list, even though I have the Skeets to go with him. Looks great with it. But Booster Gold, as he was released by McFarlane, did not have Skeets. So just because of that, he's got to be a little bit further up. But just a fantastic figure.
So many good action figures, and should have been on my honorable mention list, but I didn't want to fill up everything with honorable mentions, so.
we could have had an honorable mentions list as big as the actual top 10, but yeah.
I love that pick, man. So that's taking us into number 6. For me, this is going to be the Super Friends Sinestro.
All right.
Yeah, I love this one. It's very nostalgic. It's definitely, the Silver Age.
Yeah.
I love the look of him. It's very classic. Looks just spot on for a Superpowers type of an action figure. The Yellow Lantern looks great. He holds it very nicely.
Yep.
But yeah, I just love this look of him, and that's why he's one of my top favorites here.
Yeah. I'm glad you could make a decision between which Sinestro you like better and could include him in your top 10. He was, like I said, either one was so close to my number 10 spot. Glad to see him on your list. Love the choice.
Sweet.
And that will now take me to my number 6, and Booster Gold's buddy, it is Blue Beetle, and another just fantastic Superpowers scale figure. I mean, he fits in so well with the original Kenners also, so the size and the scaling of him, fantastic. Colors, fantastic. Looks just like the Ted Kord Blue Beetle, and the two of them together, it's not Batman and Robin, but what a dynamic duo. It is fantastic figures as a pair.
I'm not going to be saying too much about Blue Beetle because that's my number 5.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, number 5. Just everything you were saying. He looks fantastic. I love the contrast with the blue, the different colored blues he has in there. A little bit of black, obviously to separate those, but very comic accurate. Ted Kord Blue Beetle. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Very Superpowers friendly. Great action figure. That's why he's just slightly higher on mine.
There you go. No, that's great. That's great. What can you say? It's just a fantastic figure.
Exactly.
It's just a fantastic figure.
So you see, we both like this one a lot.
Yes, we do. And going into now my number 5, we are in our top 5s. My number 5 is going to be the Panic in the Sky Brainiac and Skullship set. Now, I did not include the traditional, regular Skullship on my top 10 or my honorable mentions. It was in both a couple of times. Ultimately, I removed it because I liked that Panic in the Sky that much more. Kind of my critique on the Skullship in general is that it should have been a little bit bigger. So I think the standard Skullship would have benefited from being a larger skull and, kind of more there, especially after seeing like what they could do with the bug, the size and scale of that. I would have liked to have seen something maybe similar to that for the Skullship. But with the Panic in the Sky, one, great comic, so I already love the storyline. I love the look of Brainiac in Panic in the Sky. And I just, that purple and green coloring that they did on the Skullship there just made it so much more fun, so much more toyetic, really made it stand out a lot more. So as a set, that had to go into my top 5. I love it to death. Man, it's just something, even doing the B-roll, I was just giddy at how much it popped on camera. Like, it's such cool coloring on that thing.
Oh yeah, 100% agree with you, especially with the size of it. It kind of reminded me of the old WrestleManias, when they were bringing the wrestlers in on their...
Oh sure, yeah.
Like Good Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, everybody just...
On the little mini rings?
Yeah, the little mini rings getting it. So that's what it kind of reminded me of.
Good call. Yeah, I can see that.
That being said though, this is my number 4.
Oh my gosh.
Much of the same reasons that you loved. That was a great storyline. I absolutely loved reading in the 90s. I think I still have the actual graphic novel of it. But yeah, the coloring of it, the cape on there, nice big pop collar on there as well. It gave him the nice evil goatee.
Evil goatee. That would look so good on a Green Arrow too.
Yeah, it would. It really would. So he's a really great character. I love that change that they had from kind of that Silver Age to that kind of a modern age look. Of course, it's completely different now, but that is a great figure, and I love that. I love his little skull ship. You said minus the how small it was.
Yeah, just a little bit bigger. But like I said, that purple and the green really made up for the lack of size. Like it just gives it almost kind of like a drone-like quality that makes sense. Like it would be coming from a larger skull ship, and that's what he's riding down on. Just man, it's an awesome set.
Yeah. They should make a mothership.
They should. By the way, go check out our top 10 most wanted playsets.
You got it.
Might be listed in there. And now we're going into my number 4, and some people might be surprised by this being a little bit lower than they think it would have been for me, as again, we talked about being big Superman fans. It's actually in your honorable mentions. It's going to be Superman Classic. Really, really love that. The smile did not bother me one bit. I found the reference photo. Initially, I was kind of like, but then I found the reference photo from Jose Luis Garcia Lopez.
Yeah.
Looked spot on. So I was like, all right, that's cool. The tan was a bit much for some people. It didn't bother me too much.
He's in the sun all the time. Of course he's going to be tan.
Powered by the sun. And I did agree with your critiques on it in our video, but I was not going to budge for my So Good because it just looks so much better than all the other Supermen that came before it. But yeah, that logo is a bit stretched out for my liking, so that's kind of why he's a little bit lower. Would have liked to have seen maybe a little bit of a shorter cape. I like the long cape too, but to really go with that original Kenner Superpowers motif and style, a little bit of a shorter cape, and also would have made him an almost perfect Christopher Reeve representation for the Superpowers line if that cape was just a little bit shorter. So can't put him much higher. Like I would love to put him up in in my number 1, but just those little things like that kind of hold him back a little bit. So he is my number 4, is Superman Classic from Wave 9.
Love it, sir. Like I said, I wanted to put him up higher, so I'm glad you had him up there.
Absolutely.
Superman needs that representation.
For sure.
Now, my number 3, this is one of my favorite Batmans. Anytime I think of Batman kind of in a more classic type of way, this one always pops into my mind. This is the black and gray Batman.
I knew that's what you were going to say. Because we both talked about it. We love that.
Oh, we love that.
So I made my honorable mentions, but just because of repaint status, I had to keep them off of it.
That repaint status, but even for me,
he's good.
Like, I wanted to also try and think about maybe that all black Batman. That was also one of my favorites, but I just couldn't put too many Batman on my list, even though Superpowers is very Batman heavy, but this is my favorite Batman that they came out with. Yeah. I loved it a lot more than I realized. I was just blown away by it.
Me too.
Like, wow, I like this actually holding it and looking at him. I really loved it a lot more than I thought I would. So when I think back to these collections, that one sticks out to me.
That one sticks out. And it was one, like I'd wanted a black and gray variant for a while because, we never really saw that in the original Kenner line. It was just kind of the standard blue and gray classic detective. Mm-hmm. Even when we got into like the Kenner Dark Knight collection, I don't, and I may be wrong, guys, correct me in the comments if I am, I don't recall there being like a traditional black and gray variant. I know there was one that had kind of like a textured gray costume and the black cowl and everything, but not like that classic gray tights, black cowl, all of that. Right. I don't recall seeing that until like the animated series line. So I was really excited to see that. Like I said, if it had been one of the first ones released and not a repaint, it probably would have, for sure would have made my top 10, but had to keep it as an honorable mention. Love that you have it in your top, your number 3?
Yeah, number 3 here.
Love that it's your number 3, and I think, man, couldn't have picked a better one. That's one of the best Batman there is.
All right.
Yeah. And so now we're differing again because this was like up high on your list for you. This is the JSA 3-pack for me, my number 3. Very similar to what you said. I think the Alan Scott Green Lantern is really the standout of that pack for me, and probably as an individual figure it probably would have been ranked number 3 anyway. But as a set, man, that's a fantastic set. Those little 3-packs that they're doing, especially with the packaging and all of that, it's so very cool. Like I love the way they kind of package those together side by side. Only weird thing on this one was the juxtaposition of the names. Like they kind of put the names in the wrong spots, and that was just a very, very strange and very preventable decision.
On the front, on the back, it was.
On the back, it was fine. On the front, it was very weird, very weird. But man, the figures themselves just so cool. And thanks to Nerd Candy Toys, Alan Scott now has his Green Lantern, so he has the right accessory. Starman did come with the Cosmic Rod, which was great. I'm glad there was an accessory included in that pack. I wish there had been more, obviously, and a lantern had actually been included, but not going to hate on that for that reason. That was one of my favorite overall superpowers things that McFarlane has done so far. So, man, that JSA 3-pack is so awesome, and we get some JSA love, which is great.
It was on my top list, obviously,
yeah.
but I can't hate on it being that high up on yours. Like I said, that Green Lantern is
so good.
It's so good.
It's so good. So good.
So going into number 2,
yeah.
I'm finally bringing in Superman.
All right.
Finally bringing him in, and this has always been one of my favorite costumes Superman ever had. It was Lord Superman.
Oh man, that was such a good one.
Yeah, I just absolutely love this one. It's a great update to Superman's like look, but just the contrast with the black or really dark blue. I'm not sure which one it really is.
It's black on the figure. It's been both, I think.
Yeah.
Like depending on the artist, it can be dark blue or black. I prefer the black myself, so I think that looks really cool.
The black, but I said the white cape and then just the white there, and the red that they have behind his logo. I love that they gave him the red eyes. You got the gray in the temples. Maybe that's why I like him a bit more. You know, I kind of look like him right now.
Kind of match him pretty well there.
Yeah. Overall, this is one of my absolute favorite Superman looks, and even though he was Lord Superman, bad guy, I still just liked it a whole bunch. I would have liked to have seen him kind of as a good guy, maybe a future version of him.
Sure.
They think they had some of a version of this with Batman Beyond. They had a similar looking one as well.
Right, yeah.
Anyhow, yeah. So Superman, Lord Superman, number 2 for me.
I really like that choice. Like I said, he was in my honorable mentions. One like a surprising standout for me in Wave 6 because I had not expected to like him. It's again on that body mold that I'm not the biggest fan of. Same with you, but man, you look at it, that body mold really works well. This body mold,
I think, worked the best out of all of them.
Yeah, and I agree. I like those red eyes. I hope they use that on some future Superman repaints because we know there's going to be some more. So I hope they use that. And I like the red background behind the S. Yes. I think it makes me think of like those comics where you got an angry Superman and you see the red eyes glowing and you see the S glowing in the dark, and it's like just that real intimidating. And of course, as a bad guy, that makes a whole lot of sense. So yeah, love that one as well. And you guys are going to be seeing it in our B-roll. I've added a Cape Master cape that's two-toned. So it's kind of the gray on the outside, or gray-white on the outside with that black interior. And I think really adds a lot to that as well. Makes them stand out even more. So guys, if you have this figure and you don't have a Cape Master cape, I certainly recommend picking one up. It really makes it kind of pop even more than it already does. Excellent choice.
Thanks, sir. And I don't think I've seen that cape on him yet, so I'm going to take a look at him in just a couple minutes.
You sure will. You sure will. Yeah. All right, now we're going into my number 2, and it is going to be a vehicle. I am going with the Bug Ship.
Nice.
So we've had Booster Gold, we've had Blue Beetle. You got to have the Bug Ship, and God, that was such a fantastic vehicle. I mean, it borderline is a playset, as large as it was. You can fit figures in the back, multiple figures in the back. It's got all of the kind of little controls and things like that. So it's like a mix of a vehicle and a playset that is just like this perfect storm of awesome. It's got the zip line on the bottom. Just fun. It's just really fun, and it looks amazing. And yeah, just can't say much more positive things about it. I'm surprised that it didn't sell as well as...
That is shocking, yeah,
it's because it's not a Batman thing, I'm sure. But man, it's just such a fantastic vehicle, man. And I love that they used like those classic Kenner blue and orange colors on it too. So it still lines up really well with like the Batmobile and the Batcopter and or the Whirly Bat. Well, and I guess the original Batcopter. Like you line them all up together, they look fantastic together. So you can mix it right in with your old Kenner stuff too. It's great.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Great. I was surprised to hear a vehicle made it all the way to the top 2. So that's great, man. I love that pick, though. Love it.
Yep.
All right, so this number 1 then.
I'm gonna pause us. I think we might have the same number 1.
All right.
I think we might have the same number 1, so I don't think we need to talk about it separately.
Well, let's go on 3 then. We'll see.
3, 2, 1. Bizarro.
Yes.
100%. 100%. That Bizarro, man, so good.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it was spot on for that Silver Age Bizarro look. Love that they had the backwards S. I know we were all wondering if they were going to be doing it. Have Bizarro number 1 on it. He just looks awesome. It was that body mold change too. From the original Superman. And this nailed it for Superpowers line. So
nailed it. I know a lot of people were kind of hoping they would go that like darker with the purple style, and it's going to be a repaint at some point. So you've already got a fantastic figure lined up to do that repaint. I liked, like you said, that classic Silver Age Bizarro. It came, like the story they went with was I think it was Tales from the Bizarro World.
I think so.
So
yeah.
it matches up, just fantastic. That head sculpt is awesome. It was brand new, looks fantastic. Like you said, the backwards S on both the cape and the chest. The Bizarro #1 name tag that is removable, so if you don't want it on there, you don't have to have it on there. But man, just all around was a fantastic figure. And until we unboxed those Kingdom Come figures from Bone Studio, that was my #1 figure for the year.
Yep, 100%.
Overall.
Yeah, 100%. This was, they just nailed that one on the head. Can't say enough good things about it, honestly.
It's just fantastic.
Yeah. Like as you were saying, it was my #1 kind of figure up until those Kingdom Come that we just went over. Great villain to have, another one of the...
Another Legion of Doom.
Another Legion of Doom. So.
Yeah, and it's one, I'm sure you're right along with me, as a kid, I wanted a Bizarro bad in the Superpowers line, and I think I turned one of my old Superman that's like the paint was all chipped up and stuff.
Yes, I was going to say the same thing.
I turned him into a Bizarro, so it looked terrible. It looked terrible, but I was a 6-year-old kid trying to customize a figure. Didn't come out so well. But this one, man, makes up for it in spades. Love that figure so much.
And I remember my mom used to have these like paint markers, and that's not the Sharpies. There's an actual paint marker, and I was able to draw that S because like yours, mine just ever continuous use of the logo.
Yeah,
it was gone.
I think if I remember correctly, I found a sticker.
Oh, that's
and so
cool.
I stuck it on there. It was not a great sticker or anything. It was way too big for him and all of that kind of thing. Like messed his eyebrows up on his face. I also had my mom also did have the paint marker and stuff like that too. So I took a white one, or maybe I took white out. I don't remember which, but I painted the face. That
was more than I did.
It was awful. It was so bad. It was so bad. Maybe for a 6-year-old it was all right, but definitely a #1 for both of us. Just such a fantastic one.
Oh yeah, and just when we were getting ready for this, again, that's why I wanted to wear my shirt with my little Superman cape. It just had such a nostalgic feeling, and I got so pumped to do this video.
Me too.
This top 10 was fun.
This is fun. And if you guys want to see any of our reviews for any of these past waves, go check out our Go Figure playlist. All of the reviews, we've got reviews from 1 through 9. We've got all of the waves up there on that Go Figure playlist. If you haven't seen those yet and you're kind of coming across us for the first time, go check all of those out so you can see how we actually rated all of these. And at some point, probably pretty soon, we're going to need to update our tier ranking because I think that one we ended at 6. So we've got 7 through 9. We got Wave 10 coming out pretty soon. Definitely going to need to update that pretty soon. So maybe that'll be a future video.
I think that is definitely going to be one.
I think so. So guys, as we said at the top of the video, definitely want to hear from you. We know your choices probably don't match our choices, or maybe some variation of our choices. Definitely want to see those down in the comments. Let us know what you think of our lists. Which one do you agree with most? Do you agree with Chris? Do you agree with me? Or do you think we're both idiots and you have your own perfect top 10? Let us know down in the comments either way. If you have not liked this video yet, please do. We would certainly appreciate it. And if you have not subscribed yet, what are you doing? What are you doing? Get on board. Hit that subscribe button. It'll make you feel good, make us feel good. This is kind of what it looks like when you subscribe. Everyone feels good, everyone's smiling, everyone's happy. You get to see great videos. And you make 2 old guys, feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And it'll make you feel a little warm and fuzzy too. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, drop those comments, and we will catch you guys in the next one.
Have a great one, guys.